Welcome back to Triple D Crazy S Fabrications. In this video, we will be taking this old, worn, and broken coat hanger and replacing it with a brand new custom-made coat rack. You can see that I just put too many jackets on it and it actually bent. So we will be replacing this with a brand new coat rack that we are going to build. Now, if you've watched our videos before, you might recognize these pieces. I have a desk and a lamp. So we're going to go ahead and use these to create our new coat rack, and that way it'll match the other furniture that exists in the room. So we just have the flanges that'll mount to a nice board, and then the elbows will screw into the flanges, and then that is where the coat will hang. First thing we need to do is go ahead and prepare these pieces. These are actual cast iron pieces, so they are straight from casting. They have all kinds of little imperfections and rough edges. For this project, I'm actually going to use a variety of files to make sure that I can get all the edges and the rough spots smoothed away. First up, I just have this file right here. It is the bulkiest with the roughest teeth, so I will be able to take down those bigger edges. Then I have a little finer file, and it's got a little bit of a rounded edge there to help get into those nooks and crannies. And finally, in those really small spots, I do just have a nice round file, and that'll help me get the inside of these pieces and all of the little areas. This will be mounted to the board, so the back is really not very important. It will be resting against the wood. However, the clothes will occasionally come into contact with this part out here, so I'm just taking the time to file down the edges and get rid of any sharp points. So far, I have gone over the flanges. You can see some of them needed a little bit more than others, and that's just the casting that is built up that needs to be taken down. So the 5 flanges are ready to go, and now I will be moving on to the elbows, where I will be taking down again any of those rough edges that might snag the cloth that's hanging from it. Since this is the part where the clothes and the coats will actually be hanging from, I am spending a lot of time with the file, just going over it, filling for any rough edges, and getting it to be as smooth as possible so that there's nothing to potentially catch the fabric and pull it loose or cause a hole. While I was looking over them, I did notice that there were a couple of spots, little catches in my threads, and I'm wondering if maybe that was from putting it in the vise and holding it too tightly, which makes sense in hindsight, but not something I thought of before. So before I go any further, I am just going to check that all of my elbows still fit into my flanges. And if there's any issues, like if any of where some of the teeth are kind of bent in, I do have some very small files that I think will work to kind of reshape them. So I'm just going to check that real quick. So as you can see, those all fit well. There was a little bit of resistance. You can see a little bit better right here, maybe. What I meant about the teeth on the threads getting a little bit chewed up. So you could tell when there was a little bit of resistance as I was screwing them in, but as you can see, they threaded just fine and they will be fully functional. Now that I am looking at them like this though, I am noticing that more of the threading sticks out than I was expecting. So I think I want to go back with a file and take that down just a little bit, because this bottom edge of the threading is actually one of the sharpest parts of all of these pieces combined. So I'm going to take a few minutes and just kind of take down that top piece of thread on all of these. All right, that is done, and I am a lot happier with how those threads are looking. We now have all 5 of them ready to go, no more sharp edges. The next step is going to be to get them nice and clean and then actually seal them with some clear coat so that no rust or metal debris interacts badly with the coats and jackets when this becomes a coat hanger. And just scrub brush. Now these are nice and clean. I'm going to take them back inside and get them dried off. Before I put on the varnish, I did want to just go through one more time and give it a really good clean with some odorless mineral spirits. This will make sure that it gets any last little bit of grease picked up off of them, and that way the clear coat, when I put it on, will have a very nice clean finish to stick to. Just went through with a wet wipe and then back over it with a dry wipe. I went through and added some painter's tape around the threads just to keep them a little bit more clear. And now I'm going to go over it with a few coats of Krylon clear polyurethane. First layer applied. That is 4 layers of varnish. This is the board we're going to go ahead and mount the hardware on, and then mount this piece to the wall. So what I'm going to do right now is just go through and take off the rough edge along all of it. I am trying to match the stain color of other furniture in the room, but this is a slightly different type of wood, so I'm going to go ahead and test the couple of different stains that I have and see which one appears closest on this wood to match the other furniture. I'm gonna let these dry, and then I'm actually gonna take this inside and compare it with the colors of the other furniture that I'm trying to match. I ended up using Minwax's Wood Stain in Early American Color. It was the closest match to the existing furniture. I went ahead and applied it in a thin layer and wiped it off with a clean rag to give it a nice even finish. Now I'm going to let it dry completely and we will come back and give it a coat of varnish. Here's the board, dry after a few hours with a new stain. I've got this Minwax polyacrylic clear coat for the varnish. First coat is on and it has been drying for about 2 hours. So I'm going to go through with some nice 220 grit sandpaper, just gently scruff up this layer so that I can apply the next.
And 12 is the center line there. So stand up where I put you. Doesn't I want to? Okay. So
So then let's go 1 3/8 in here and then find the center and put that one. And then for this one, let's just split the difference.
maybe we should start mounting these.
Yeah. We have all the flanges mounted in place now, and we're just going to go through and add in the elbow pieces. So what we're doing right now is measuring to find the center of the board. We're going to drill into studs when we mount it, and studs are 16 inches apart, so we're just measuring and centering up that 16 inches on our board. Now we have those ready. We'll go ahead and pre-drill some holes and take it back in to mount it in place. have it mounted on the wall, ready to go. We got it put in on the 2 studs so that it is very strong and mounted nice and level. There was a lot of debate about whether we would need to add another nipple and a cap to these elbows to help hold the clothes better, but here's our first trial run. Let's see how it does. And that is doing pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with that. So I think we are all good and we have a functioning coat rack. There you have it, a custom-made coat rack with a nice wood plank and some cast iron piping for the coats. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. Comment down below if you liked hearing the narration and you liked learning more about the process, and we'll see you in the next video.